The market has been on an inflation binge lately. We've experienced the highest consumer price inflation in years. We've seen the fastest double-digit percentage increases in the same year since the Great Inflation of the 1970s. It's easy to get overwhelmed by all this inflation. The market is experiencing a surge of inflation. Inflation is a measure of how much the price of goods and services rises over time. The higher the inflation rate, the greater the price increase. Right now, we're seeing a lot of inflation in our economy. Gas prices are higher, people are paying higher interest rates on their loans, and the cost of food and other basic necessities is rising. Inflation is everywhere. The war in Ukraine will likely pour more gasoline on the already raging inflationary fire, threatening to send the global economy into stagflation. Stagflation is a situation in which inflation is so high that it causes a number of other economic problems. The first sign of stagflation is usually a surge in prices for a wide range of goods and services. Inflation is high, and only getting higher. The Federal Reserve has struggled to keep up with the outsized increases in prices for goods and services. It has raised interest rates to slow the economy and stave off the next recession, but it's not enough to keep up with rising prices. Even when the Federal Reserve raises interest rates, it can't keep up with the speed of inflation, which is causing the market to feel the pinch. Inflation is at record levels in the United States, and it is starting to show up in other markets as well. The Federal Reserve has taken action to try to head off the threat of inflation, but the damage has already been done. What happens next in the inflation saga? Food inflation is a major issue in the economy right now. Food prices have risen significantly over the past year, and many people have noticed their food costs have gone up. The cost of food has a major impact on people's budgets, and when food prices rise, it can have a significant impact on the economy as a whole. Food inflation is a major concern for investors, as it has the potential to cause further economic problems. Food inflation has been a big concern for many people over the past year. The price of food has gone up faster than the price of other things. The price of food has gone up a lot. This has been bad for people who buy food a lot, but it has also been bad for people who buy food a little. Food inflation is also a problem. The price of food has been rising sharply in recent months. The causes of food inflation are complex but may include a supply shock caused by a conflict in Ukraine, which has caused oil prices to spike and driven up the cost of gasoline. Also causing food inflation are higher wheat and corn prices, which are linked to the supply of those crops. Food inflation has been a hot topic in the mainstream news lately. It's been blamed for everything from the high cost of a gallon of milk to the skyrocketing cost of a cartful of groceries. But what is food inflation, and why is it causing all this commotion? Let's first look at the term food inflation. Food prices are on the rise. The war in Ukraine has caused oil prices to spike, which has in turn caused food prices to rise. This is a sign of things to come: soaring prices, widespread shortages, and frustrated consumers. This is the story of today's inflation, which will eventually cause a recession, but for now is wreaking havoc on the economy. Inflation is power, and it can become so out of whack that it disrupts the economic and financial system. As the economy has weakened, inflation has climbed to its highest level in nearly 5 years and appears ready to accelerate further, Fed researchers said in a paper published Thursday. The paper, which was sponsored by the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, argues that inflation is everywhere because monopolies hold sway over the price of a barrel of oil, the price of a bag of flour, and the price of a gallon of milk.